Hi everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Twinkle Hollow. It's your boy Dutchie here, and in today's episode, we'll take a look at the brand new Moonstone Court. Right, so here we are, 5 lovely little buildings inspired by Colmar and Strasbourg in France, and maybe also a little bit of Freiburg in Germany. Those of you eagle-eyed viewers may or may not recognize this building, which you actually can find, well, almost as a replica in Strasbourg. What am I saying? In Freiburg. And it is a really, really beautiful building. I've first seen it when I was like 15. So, of course, that's only 2 years ago. And yeah, this is the court. This is the plaza. So I really like how it came together. At first, I wasn't sure if having these sort of detached buildings was going to be a good idea. But in the end, it just seems to be working out really well. Imagine a whole park growing at the peripheral, around the whole plaza. Then I think it will look lovely. Right now, it still looks a bit lost, a bit forlorn. But then at the same time, it also gives you a bit of a sense of space because it really is tiny, as you can see. And I worked a lot with forced perspective just to give it a bit of a, I don't know, I just wanted to be playful. I sort of imagine that this park is going to be a bit more for maybe, I don't know, children up to young teenagers rather than older teenagers and adults. So I kind of wanted to have it cute and sort of, I don't know, just allow for children to be transported into a different world, I guess. So most, if not every building, is actually only 4 meters for the shop facade and then another 2 meters on top, so 6 meters tall. But of course with forced perspective, which is now so possible thanks to the scaling tool in Planet Coaster, it just looks like it's a bit taller and, it's just really cute. I would say this is exaggerated forced perspective, but it has something, doesn't it? It somehow works, even though it's almost turning into a upside down miniature land. Even though it's full size at the bottom, then above the shops it turns into all different scale, and somehow that works. Don't ask me why. I don't think there was that much of a thought behind the whole thing, but yeah, it just works, and I'm really happy how it turned out. The biggest building is the one I built first, and it doesn't really have that much of a skilled forced perspective yet. But it works, I suppose. I wasn't sure at some point if I should keep it or not, because especially once I finished the second building, that's the pink one here, I went more and more extreme with the forced perspective, and it was just so much fun doing that, by the way. I really had a good time using the scaling mod and just creating, the tiniest of windows. Now that we can rotate entire buildings and we can make them tilt, I had a lot of fun creating this building. It's just super cute, and it's surrounded by a lovely planter and flowers, and just gives you a little bit of that village charm. And I didn't want to make it feel too much like it was a town square or something. So yeah, this is turning out lovely. There's some planters, and luckily I was somehow smart enough to just cut out the paths and make sure that people don't run into them. There's a bit of a water feature here. Maybe if I circle around, then something may or may not happen. And I use the decal, the vents, just to create a bit of I forgot what you call it, a drainage. which I think somehow, worked out convincingly enough. Oh, there we are. Just having a bit of a surprise, and again, having that bit of childlike wonder. So it's all centered around the big statue of Twinkle, and I don't know. I just feel like it works, and it's pleasant, and I'm quite chuffed. Then there's the two entrances for, I don't know, deliveries, stuff, you name it. As these big doors. I might want to embed them a bit more into the wall, given that they sort of stick out. But these are, in my opinion, by far the best doors that you can use for a backstage area. At least if the park is themed like mine. We'll see. I may change that a bit or add some ornaments left and right of the door frame. Watch Your Toes is this kind of cutesy, lingo that would really work with Twinkle Hollow. And then there are the branded bins, which I'm quite proud of because, as usual, I try to keep the piece count low. And they got their own Twinkle Hollow symbol there. What's that called again? Is it an anagram? The two initials, let's put it that way. It looks a bit like an American, university soccer team or something, but I think it works. I could also put a moon there instead of the TH. Wasn't sure. I think I quite like this though, and it's really clean and it's easy to remove. It just works well. Then there's little flower planters here. I think what really steals the show here are, maybe I'll find a nicer spot. How about this one? The lanterns. I really like how they worked out. They're just really cool. Again, courtesy to my little niece who made this lovely banner. I think Twinkle Hollow, or Twinkle himself, has never looked any cuter than this. I like it. This is a bit more majestic, right? We've got the ones at the beginning that are... this was also, mind you, this was before we had the sorcery pack. I still like them. They are, they're whimsical. So I decided to keep them because they just have something, I guess. And I feel like they work very well. I could see them make a return in the fairy, in the story, what do you call it? The fairy tale forest. But then once you are in the plaza, it needs something grander. Let me know if you agree with that, by the way, or if you think that I should have these grand lanterns outside as well. But for now, I'll keep it like this. So yeah, I really like them. They're these big orbs that we got with the sorcery pack hanging down from the little chain. And, it feels maybe a bit over the top, to be honest. But again, you have to imagine that at some point, this village square is going to be surrounded by trees and roller coasters and carousels and God knows what, So I think it's going to feel even smaller and more intimate in the future. So it could be nice just to have these lanterns act as beacons and gives the whole thing a bit of a, an upscale vibe. So yeah, this is where it stands. Maybe the last part of this update could be just hoovering around the buildings a bit. This is where the backstage area is going to be. This is actually the most finished building, if you ask me. There's a staff path leading all the way to the parking lot, and that's really clean, so people hopefully will not even go there. And this would allow staff to take care of this lovely, slightly elevated, what do you call this? Bad landscape here. It's really nice. I think it's really nice. I'm hoping we can get the butterflies back from Planet Coaster 1, if you remember those. It'd be lovely to see them darting through the flowers here. So yeah, that is nice. You remember that in the first episodes, I actually had a bit of a stone wall going on both sides, but I decided to make it more open. And the wall now that flank the gate, it's a beige that it's almost invisible, isn't it? So I think that worked out lovely. And then when you enter here, the first thing you see is is the ridiculously forced perspective building in the background with Twinkle statue in the foreground. And yeah, that's just really lovely stuff, if I might say so myself. The other building, probably my favorite, by the way. I just love that combination of old pink, faded pink, and gray. I first saw this in, I think it was in Bad Gastein in Austria, which is a ski resort. And I just loved it. It looked so clean. It just the colors. The building looked completely different. It was a humongous hotel, actually. But this is something it wouldn't look out of place somewhere in South Tyrol. I added these decals just because I didn't want those buildings to look so spanking new. And then I used the real brands like McDonald's and Nordsee, and what else is there? Fabiano, Illy Coffee. It's just Pret Manger. It's just really cool. I'm quite happy with how this turned out. Again, the winner of most ridiculous forced perspective would be this building. Has restroom, sushi place, and a souvenir shop, or no, it's a hats fantastic shop. It just looks lovely. I just really like how this turned out. At first it was going to be just the one building, the one you see in front, and then I decided to do more with it. So yeah, again, rather happy. I wish we could somehow scale the texture of the roofs. That would be amazing, but that's not to be. This building is lifted straight from the Alsace region in France, and I literally saw this on Google Street View. It's almost a carbon copy. I loved how this turned out. It's really, it's just really nice. I'm really happy with it. If I may say so myself, it's just really cute. What else do I have for you? Do I have anything for you? That's right. This building, I think, already got plenty of attention. Again, since we can scale pieces, maybe at one point we get different statues, so it doesn't only have to be Captain Lockjaw here, but this will do for now. And it's cute. Again, it simply works. And that's it, my friends. This is the Moonstone Court. This is where all the fun starts. And by having 4 different ways between the 5 buildings, there's 4 paths basically where people can go. So it never feels too crowded, hopefully, and it gives people a lot of ways to explore the rest of the park. What's going to be up next is the Fairy Tale Forest. That's going to be here on the left. Somehow that just felt right. And then we'll see. It's not going to be a big park, so we'll see. And thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.